What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Get Weird with your host, myself, Brittany Barbieri. If you're new to this podcast, guys, this is a podcast where I like to get into the weird, the spooky, the strange, and straight up uncomfortable for you, okay? I talk about everything really within the paranormal spectrum that most people don't really ever want to talk about, but don't mind listening because it creeps them out. So I don't want to make it boring for you ever. So of course I pulled a fun case to discuss and talk about. It's historical. It's part of our history in a dark way. It's dark history, I would say. But this dark historical event has brought continuous paranormal phenomenon in the month of December, year after year after year, like documented by rangers, by people, by individuals, by hikers, and so forth. So when you know me, you know that I like the weird. So of course I'm going to share this case. Now, some of you may be familiar with it if you like history, and some of you may not. So for those of you that may not know about this case, you're going to learn a little bit about it today. And I encourage you to go read up about this entire incident that transpired in our history. It's a very interesting case. And then for those of you that do know about this case, you may not know about the paranormal side of it that has continued year after year since the incident. So before we get into it, let me set the stage for those that are not familiar. We are getting into the very dark and twisted weird history of the Donner Pass December hauntings. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, in the winter of 1846, the Donner Party, 87 men and women and children, all got trapped by early snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The temperatures plummeted, like dropped quick and fast. Their food ran out. People did freeze. People starved to death. And yes, cannibalism took place. Okay, these people were trying to survive. That's just nasty enough as it is right there. I could end the whole podcast right there, but I'm not going to. And then by spring, surviving the harsh storm and winter months, only 48 people survived. And the cabins where they sheltered, still marked, still visited, and still very active, was something that a lot of people cannot explain, but it continues to show up every December like clockwork at the exact location of this incident. So the first part of this, we're going to break it down into the documentation of the reoccurring phenomenon of phantom footsteps in fresh laid snow. This is interesting to me, and why I love this case is because I am a huge believer in the bending of time. And this goes into physics and quantum physics. I started applying this element to the paranormal field based off of my early investigations over 22 years ago, when I started seeing some reoccurring phenomenons that did not line up with what we are taught, which we could be wrong, about paranormal phenomenon with ghostly apparitions and hauntings. And so for me, I came at it from a different perspective of that these people were not dead, that it's an overlapping of time, so that they are very alive at their timeline, but their timeline and our timeline are blending into one. Imagine it like the wave. So as the wave comes in and it hits the water, that top of that wave is lapping on top of the water. And at that moment, those two lines are crossing before it continues through the water and passes through and loops again. That is the theory of bending of time, to where both of these timelines are merged into one, for whether that be 30 seconds, a minute, it could be 160 minutes. It could be anything, right? Because we don't really know how long that connection lasts. That's why we will see a lot of people claim to see these spirits in period clothing, look at them frightened, and then vanish. Bending of time. They're both still very alive, but haunting each other, if that makes sense. So that's why I love this case. That is where my brain goes. It applies into my personal take in the field on how I personally investigate. And I'm not saying that ghosts aren't real. I do believe in spirits and ghosts and demons and such too, but I do think there is a good amount of these cases that the past and present are overlapping and haunting each other, and they're both very alive. No one's actually dead at all. So with the particular case like this, where we have, let's start with step one, we've got the footsteps in the fresh snow. We have park rangers and hikers reporting that when they walk up to this part of the forest, that they actually will find human-sized footprints in the snow, some without shoes, like barefoot, never like having any kind of a footprint with like a modern day tread of sole to the feet. And then the other part is there is no beginning or ending to where the footsteps start or where they end. They just kind of are there and then they just walk off. So that part is very strange to me. One ranger actually had said he said he followed a set of footprints for 50 yards before they just completely stopped. Like whoever or whatever it was simply vanished into thin air. And again, if you're tracking something in snow, that doesn't happen. That's not, unless the snow stops and it goes into ground. If you're tracking something, even an animal in the snow, the tracks continue unless it goes up a tree. You know what I'm saying? So, or off into the rocks or whatever. But you can pretty much follow anything in the snow, which is great for tracking. So the creepy part of this is that the reports of seeing these footprints are also accompanied by the smell of a faint, like a wood smoke, something burning like a made fire, a makeshift campfire, which is very strange. So now you've got the odor and the footprints happening at the same time, which is like what we would say in the paranormal haunting space, a residual haunting, right? Where it's like a repeat of trauma imprinted into the energy frequency of that atmosphere. However, yes, I could see that, but I also could believe in the time bending with this, because the overlapping of time, you would have the scent and the atmosphere. And again, we don't know how strong the crossover was. Sometimes it's not strong enough to see a full apparition, but it's enough to leave like this: footprints, the smell of fire. So that is something I have to think of when I hear about cases like this. So imagine like you're hiking and you just come across bare footprints in the snow. They vanish and you still smell smoke. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be like, what in the world is going on? I mean, if I'm out there with my kids, I'd probably pack up pretty fast and leave. But if it was myself and a team out there, I'd probably want to investigate this a little bit more thoroughly. Just saying. Got to protect the kids. The next comes with the next stage of accounts that come from the Donner Pass incident. And basically the next piece of this puzzle are the voices. Every December without fail, emergency dispatches receive calls from hikers who think that they hear people crying out for help in the woods. Nobody there, just hearing similar sounds and words that have been recorded as "help me," "please, we need food," "do not leave us," "please don't leave us here." Rangers have responded every time, and every time they go, there's no one there. There's nothing to be found. Some have reported finding, again, like the footprints. There was a ranger online who requested to remain anonymous, only because he was quoted saying, "I'm not trying to get made fun of online or on the internet." And his biggest thing is that he had heard a woman sobbing in the trees. He had searched for 2 hours, found nothing, no tracks, no prints, no animals, like literally nothing, but he heard her as clear as day. He also claimed that after trying to find where this woman was, he had actually smelt like a lingering odor of stew, like somebody had just made a fresh thing of stew, which I think is interesting. Would be like a smell of like someone cooking outside of a cabin, right? But that's not possible 170 years later. Okay, so very interesting documented report from that guy. And I find that to be really interesting. Again, I'm just saying, this is where it gets really fun and weird. The report of the ragged woman. I already get goosebumps with this one, because this is something most people probably would not want to experience. I want to experience this woman. I think this is the coolest thing ever. So she is reported to be frequently seen, and most everybody has labeled her as the ragged woman of Murphy Cabin. So dozens, I mean, we're talking many eyewitnesses, from skiers, truck drivers, hikers. They're all describing the exact same woman literally every December near the original site of the Murphy Cabin, which to me is just incredible. So if it's that constant, I want to see it. Here's where it gets a little weird. Okay. The description that everyone gives, almost literally word for word, is a woman in tattered clothing, gray skin, as if she's very cold. Her head is always down. Her arms are tightly wrapped around herself, trying to keep herself warm. And she's standing completely still, as if she's just standing there waiting or frozen in time. What makes her different from classic ghost sightings, right, in general, is that she reacts to nobody. She just stands there. In some cases with paranormal hauntings, you'll have a ghost that might look at you or turn or walk or vanish, right? Like the normal ghostly, 411, 101 book, whatever you want to call it. Like, here's the 411 on ghosts. This is what you need to do, right? So she completely doesn't follow that train of thought or that book, nothing, just at all. She just does her own thing. People, in fact, have walked right up to her thinking that she was real, like a living person, to be like, hey, do you need help? And she has disappeared right in front of their eyes. Like, not even fading out, no flickering, nothing, just like gone. So like you walk up on her and you're like, hey, you okay, lady? Gone. And you're like, what the crap just happened right now? Like, gone. So one December in 2015, a group of backcountry skiers saw her standing beside a tree, and they shouted to see if she needed any kind of help. She didn't move. They approached her. About 10 feet away, they said, poof, gone. Literally gone. Again, no glitching, no nothing, just like you blink your eye and she's freaking gone. In her place, bare footprints in the snow. So her body's gone. She's completely gone, but her footprints remained. Now, ghosts don't leave footprints, people. That doesn't happen. Ghosts don't like, here I am, I'm walking. Follow my footprints into the invisible unknown. That doesn't happen. That is not real. Like, ghosts don't leave footprints. Okay? So, and I know somebody out there listening to me who's all about the paranormal is going to fight me tooth and nail on this. This is just my personal opinion. From my personal investigations, things that leave footprints mean that they were actually present and alive in our timeline, right? Even when you hear footprints in your house, ghosts are not leaving footprints or making the sounds of walking in your home. For me, that is someone very much alive in their time. And you're hearing it. Again, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that, but it is what it is. Okay? You don't have to like it. That's just my personal opinion on how I investigate, because I've just seen too much and investigated too much and experienced too much to not actually go, my gosh, wow, yes, like this is actually very plausible. So here is the case that blew up the local ranger station. In December of 2019, crystal clear night, everything was fine. A cross-country skier named Adam was out on a solo trek, and about 9 p.m., he enters a clearing and sees an entire group of pioneers standing there. He gave full description, several adults, a few children. He remembered a man standing there holding an axe, a woman carrying something that looked like a pot. I'm reading my handwriting. All wearing 1800 style clothing, winter clothing, like something that they're trying to like bundle up, stay warm. They weren't transparent. They weren't misty like ghosts. He said, and I quote, "They looked as real as anyone I have ever seen," end quote. He blinked and every single one of them vanished. Every single one was gone. I love that. Like, he witnessed a moment in time that literally looped into our world. Investigators, after he reported his case, gave the details. When investigators arrived the next morning, they found multiple sets of bare footprints in fresh laid snow. Not boot prints, not animal tracks, like true human bare feet in the snow. In negative temperatures, people. So very interesting. And they didn't even see any like modern footprints, like shoes walking up to the location. Maybe people are trying to prank people, take boots off, walk around in the snow for fun. No, all gone. Just bare footprints. So they labeled this at the ranger service station, officially labeled the Donner Pass, active with reoccurring anomalous phenomenon every single December. There's something out there. The officials out there have said they know that there's stuff that happens out there and they can't explain it. It's a phenomenon that has taken place every December and they really don't know why. When we look at the timeline, right? So why does it spike so heavily in the activity of December? Why is it so intense in December? We have the anniversary effect of this. We have the trauma that imprints itself into our frequency and our energy. And because it did happen in December of 1846, there was so much trauma and so much anger and negativity and that much energy imprinting into the frequency waves of our universe and our planet. You know, if you want to look at the trauma effect, then it's possible that that energy gets activated like a clock, like an alarm, every December because that was when the incident took place. You're also looking at an environmental issue, okay? We don't know exactly what types of minerals are also in the grounds that are working at play there as it's absorbing. We forget that snow is made of water and water is a large energy conductor. So you might be piling and piling and piling on top of a conductor like a battery, and it's just playing itself out every December because that is again when this incident took place. Now, this doesn't explain completely the footprints. The footprints are really where everyone's brain gets twisted and you're stuck scratching your head. But we do have to look at many explanations as to why it continues to occur. The fact that we have so many reports from individuals ranging from rangers to trackers to truck drivers to hikers to skiers to people that live there that literally speak about this phenomenon happening every single year and reporting the exact same details and getting spooked out by it, there has to be something to it. The hauntings in this location are so extraordinary and so incredible that it really deserves its own thorough investigation, like a true deep dive investigation into Sierra Nevada to find out why. Why did this happen? Or why does this happen? It's like the Brigadoon effect. Like they just appear and they disappear, but they're only there for a short period of time. And if you're lucky enough, you get to see them, right? But we're talking about, a very eerie and weird phenomenon that takes place after a very dark piece of history. There's also a theory we can throw on the table as the thin veil theory. And there's also in December in folklore known as the winter veil thinning. It's known within Norse traditions and Celtic beliefs, even in indigenous stories about the spirits walking during the winter nights. So it is possible that we can also throw out the thin veil theory. But again, that would mean that there's spirits trapped in this eternal loop. And I just, personally myself, I don't see that. I could see an imprint, right? I could see it. So like if there was limestone there, let's just say, it's heavily charged. Or quartz crystal, it's heavily charged. It's going to record that trauma and it will play it back, much like my research and investigation work in Gettysburg happens all the time. You will have full apparitions and people walk right past you as if they don't see you because they don't. Their timeline is overlapping ours and they just don't see us. And then there's some where they do. So we're looking at a thin timeline for me personally that would help explain so many accounts, so many sightings taking place. But this is, it's not a easy history to swallow, honestly, with this one, because if you pull it up, there's a ton of national historical records in the National Park Services on the government website regarding this incident, of telling you, how bad it was. We're talking, the winter of 1846 to 1847, and only 48 people survived, 48 people survived the following year. And to have to resort to eating other people that have died to survive so that you can survive. I mean, this is it's a very trying and intimidating situation. It's very dark, it's very twisted, but it's also very creepy, weird, and eerie that to date, they are still seeing footprints and voices and full-fledged people. And, people still go to that site. They still go up there to look at it, to, kind of figure it all out. But we may never have the answers to this particular case, except that it's just freaking weird. So I'm curious as to what you, as the listeners, may think about this. Are these spirits reliving their final days? Are people experiencing literally a time loop, a time bend, where we're overlapping and seeing the same incident because of the way the frequencies work there? Or is this just something else entirely, and we may never be able to explain it? Some things just can't be explained away with science. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes we may never have the answer for it, and it's left as the most incredible piece of paranormal history. And I sometimes enjoy not having a perfect explanation for some of these things, because that's what makes them so intriguing and so incredible and so special. They're creepy, they're weird, it's a strange phenomenon. I personally would love nothing more than to go out there right now in the midst of the winter and see if I experience the same and document it, Set up the cameras, get as much as you can documented, get that moment in time captured on film. It would be incredible. But what we see with our naked eye, we may not see with a camera. I don't know. I mean, we do in Gettysburg. We're able to capture it in amazing footage in Gettysburg. But again, what is shaved down and put into most of our recording devices? So when you stop and think about all this, it's weird, guys. It's weird, but I'm for it, and I'm all about going and investigating it. So for those of you that are not familiar with this case, I encourage you, please. The government websites has some incredible stories, incredible historical records, some well-documented messages from people that survived, and as well as there's a lot more to it online from people that have experienced the paranormal aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube that you can look up. There's, I believe, a documentary even about the not the paranormal, but the historical event that took place. Again, it's one of those pieces of dark history, but it's also weird that to date we have these echoes of a phenomenon that no one can explain, which I think is truly, truly amazing. And for those of you that do know about this, thank you for listening. And if you have any new intel or have seen any new reports in regards to any of the phenomenon, feel free to email it over to us. You can also find and interact with me personally on my Instagram page at Brittany_Barbieri_. I love interacting with all of you. You can also reach out to Media Squatch, which is our wonderful producer of this podcast. And if you send something over to us, I will be more than happy to do an episode on it to showcase as a rewind or a flashback to this episode with new updates and new information, because I am all about that. In the field, we are constantly learning and constantly growing, and we must have an open mind and be willing to accept all theories in order to find the truth. I believe in teamwork, being there for one another, supporting each other, no matter our differences or how we look at the field, because in the end, we're only going to achieve this together. But fighting each other, going against each other, or saying that my theory is better than your theory or my investigation tactics are better than your investigation, that's not going to help us. That's not going to help us grow. Every team is one team in a whole in this tree of paranormal, and together we will grow. Keep that in mind, everybody. Have an amazing week and weekend, because it's Friday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Disconnect. Be with the family. Have fun. Tell a ghost story. It's December. It's December. Go do something fun. Go do something Christmassy and let go and have fun. But remember, stay weird.